guys, welcome back. Where to grind guide for Black Desert Online. In this guide, we're going to cover exactly where you should be grinding at your gear level and maybe with your class at certain gear or certain grind spots in the game. I will be updating this guide every so often to make sure it's constantly up to date. As of right now, it's April 11th, 2024. So again, we'll update it as grind zones kind of change and get buffed in the near future. But we're basically going to cover where you should be grinding at your appropriate gear and stuff. Again, this is the more efficient places to grind. This is not the end all be all. This is just like my recommendations. Like, okay, silver per hour, these spots are really good. That doesn't mean that the other spots are bad or that you shouldn't try them. I'll kind of go over the pros and cons of different grind spots as we get into it here. Okay, so first we're going to start off with the low end grind zones in Black Desert. So where you should be grinding, this is basically all of the new player grind zones in the game. The first places that you're kind of dip your little toesies in and grind for the very first time in BDO and what makes them efficient and stuff. So generally speaking, the first places that people are going to grind are either the Desert Valencia spots or the Kama Sylvia, the lower end Kama Sylvia spots as well are also very, very common. You also see some of there's some spots we're going to talk about in Drieghan, and yeah, and that's about it for the low end grind spots. But there's a lot of them, so I'll kind of go through them. The grind zones that I'm about to recommend are basically like 160 plus AP and like 200 plus DP. Okay, these are like new player grind zones. You should be able to do this in the first few days that you play the game, because your first experience of the game is going to be basically the main story, and then you're going to get to Pry Tuvala and you're immediately going to have this gear score, so you're going to be just fine at the end of Medaya, the Medaya questline. The two highest like money spots that you're typically going to hear about are Centaurs and Gahas. I have made grind zone guides for these. I'm making grind zone guides for each spot in the game. Slowly but surely, I'm kind of working my way through. The infinite potion guide should come out in the next couple days here. Copium. But like, yeah. So like, if you're looking for like the exact specifications and like where the grinds or where like the rotations are for the spot and exactly what's going to drop there and what to do with it, that will be in those guides. But like, generally speaking, people talk about Centaurs and Gahas being like the two highest spots in terms of silver per hour. It's kind of Centaurs, and then there's a little bit of a gap, and then there's Gahas Bandits, which is like way up here. Gahas is this spot right here. So you can choose one of those two locations are probably the best, but they're kind of like way out there, and they don't give you very much combat or skill EXP. They also don't help you grind for the infinite potion. The infinite potion can be bought. As I explained in my guide, you can buy the infinite potion, you can use Atanus elements for the infinite potion, and you can use, like you can go grind for the potion pieces themselves. Personally, I did the math. The Atanus elements is definitely the best, like, bang for your buck. A lot of people are going to tell you to buy it. Technically, that's not the most efficient. Actually, Atanus elements comes out on top in terms of silver per hour and how quickly you're able to obtain the potions and stuff. And if you're going to grind the Atanus elements, you should grind Desert Nagas, which is right here. Okay, is an extremely good silver per hour spot. Or you can grind Desert Fogans. Now, Desert Fogans is like way out in the desert here. Okay. There's something very important that I want to explain at this phase, because when you're a new player, there's like two really important things that the grind zone that you're really going to care about. Number one, how much silver are you making at this grind zone? Number two, how many people are at this grind zone? Okay, Centaurs and Gahas are going to, there's going to be a lot of people at those. You're going to want to grind on seasonal servers. And since everyone knows those are kind of the higher end spots, it's going to be kind of hard to lock down grind zones at those locations. Okay, so like it's going to be a little tough. If you want to grind those. Also, there are certain classes in the game that are just not very good at grinding Gahas or Centaurs because they just don't have the AoE or they don't have the pack-to-pack mobility. Something like Awakening Witch is not super great with that because she doesn't have the pack-to-pack mobility, but she does have big AoE. So like Centaurs will work for her somewhat, but she's not going to be fast as like an Awakening Nova is going to make almost 60% more money than the Witch is probably at the same grind zone. You know what I mean? Maywa is another example of someone that just has the pack-to-pack mobility, but just doesn't have the AoE to make something like Centaurs work. Mewa can make Gahas work really well, though. Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans have really, really tightly knit like packs, and so like you don't need much AoE to grind there. So if you're grinding with like a Tamer, a Mewa, anything like that, you absolutely can grind Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans. I will say that there's gonna be more people at Desert Nagas, okay, and you're gonna make about the same money as you would at something like Fogans, okay. Fogans is slightly more EXP and skill EXP. These Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans are really good combat and skill EXP compared to Centaurs and Gahas. Again, Gahas and Centaurs are not going to be particularly good unless you're using Marnie Stones, which I'm not going to get into here. Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans are definitely going to be a lot better for that, and you're going to get a Tannis elements there. So they're really, really good bang for your buck money-wise. Other spots to recommend at this APDP level are Crescent Shrine. This is an underrated spot. Crescent Shrine is definitely a really good spot. And if you have someone, if you have friends that are playing the game with you, I highly recommend a spot like Crescent Shrine or Gahas Bandits, because believe it or not, it's not technically a party grind zone, but you probably don't have full tier 4 pets at this point, and even if you do, you're going to be going through the mobs so fast that you're going to be leaving a lot of loot behind. Since there's not anything big like the infinite potion that you would lose a friend over if you were grinding with them and they got the infinite potion and you didn't, that's a great way to block people and never speak to them again. But like, you're not going to have to deal with that at Crescent Shrine. It also drops a Tannis elements. You can grind alongside your friend. Both of you just have your pets out. And you can just both make like really good money at these spots, because there's enough like there's enough like mobs and enough drops that both of your pets can basically pick up loot. So you're gonna be fine. Okay, so you can do the same thing at Gahas as long as you're grinding on the main rotation at Gahas, but Gahas is not quite as good for this. Centaurs is kind of, Crescent Shrine is kind of definitely the spot if you're going to grind with another partner and you want to grind with your friend and have a good time with them. It's not technically a party grind zone, so just bear that in mind. It wasn't technically designed that way, but I know a lot of new players, like they started playing with their friends, they want to grind with their friends, they want to progress with their friends. This is the spot that I would recommend to go to. If you're going to do that, just get into a party and just start going in a big circle and just kill a bunch of, both of you are just killing mobs. Just make sure your pets are on agile. You have a great time. If you want another good spot for a Tannis element is Kadri Ruins. Kadri Ruins is going to make less silver per hour than something like Desert Nagas or Desert Fogans, typically speaking, but there's going to be no one at these spots, okay? In terms of overall population, like how many people are going to the spot on a scale of 1 to 5, Centaurs is 5. There's going to be, everyone's going to be at Centaurs. Nagas is another 5. There's a lot of people at Nagas, okay? But Desert Fogans, it's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, okay? That has the benefit of literally being in the middle of nowhere. So, 1, okay? No one goes to Desert Fogans. Every once in a while, you might find someone there. Desert Fogans is a great spot because you can basically do it on Arsha, seasonal Arsha, and no one's going to bother you because there's like 4 or 5 different Fogan rotations that you can do. And again, I'll make a grind guide for it so you guys can see where all the different rotations for Fogans are. There's a lot of rotations. It's out in the middle of the desert. No one's going to bother you. You can grind with the extra 50% drop rate buff on seasonal and kind of get away with it. Highly recommend Desert Fogans. Kadri's is another like low-key spot that a lot of new players don't know about, or just like because everybody's so focused on Centaurs. I will say it does get some of the bleed over from Centaurs. So if Centaurs is full, you'll see a lot of players go over to Kadri. So in terms of a 1 to 5 scale, I would say this is kind of medium populated. I'd give it a 3 out of 5 on terms of overall population and whether or not you're going to find someone there. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's kind of mid on like a Tannis. It's solid for a Tannis. It's okay silver per hour. Like it's not that bad. It's not particularly great combat or skill exp. You're not going to do as well as you would at Desert Nagas or Desert Fogans. It's a solid spot to grind. A great spot not to grind is Waragon's Nest. This is stupid people do this. So like if like these spots have not been buffed in like 3 years and like is completely outdated, don't do this. Okay, another thing that you don't want to do is go to Bassi Den. This is also not something that you really want to do. I know it says party of 3 recommended. I promise you, just lose one of your friends. You like the more friends you have, the more you can get hurt anyway, so you don't need friends. Just ditch the one you don't care about and just go to Centaurs with the other one. I mean, go to Crescent Shrine with the other one. Okay. Okay. There's also, if you want to grind for the Archaeologist map, like if you want to grind, the Archaeologist map is like a treasure item in Black Desert. You can, it says AP 190. You can do this at 160. You'll be fine. Like, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. It does require a little bit more DP. But like, it's totally doable. Pilaku jail, in terms of population, this is a 1. No one goes here unless they need their map, in which case they're suffering. You know what I mean? Dekia Pilaku just happened, so you might find some people on normal servers in the Dekia realm. But if you're on seasonal, yeah, you might find 1 or 2 people. But if you swap a couple times, you're going to be fine. Seasonal Arsha is probably going to be open, unless you get unlucky, and it's like peak hours or something. I would say that maybe it'd be 2, because like sometimes you find people there. A lot of people are grinding for the archaeologist map. So again, everyone that's out here is grinding for the map. Let's be honest. So most of them are going to try to go to Arsha, but those are the only people grinding here. There's nobody on normal servers grinding at Pilaku, or the other spot for the archaeologist map is around Sulfur Mine. These spots, whenever you're grinding for a treasure item in Black Desert, this is the general rule of thumb. Take what you normally would make at like a high level spot minus 200 mil. Okay, so if you're gonna make 700 million at Centaurs, you're probably only gonna make like 500 mil or less at Roid Sulfur. I'll be honest with you, Sulfur probably only makes about 300 million silver an hour. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I think that it probably makes about 300 million an hour. I think that Centaurs makes about 600 million an hour on average for like a normal, for a normal class, 500 million an hour at this stage. But like 500 to 600 million an hour is reasonable. Some people boast 1 billion to 1.2 billion silver an hour at Centaurs, and it's important to understand that those people are lying to you. Okay, that is not happening. They're morons. Okay, now I don't care what they swear to you. I don't care what they say to you. You're not making 1.2 billion silver an hour at Centaurs. I don't care. It's just not happening. Round Sulfur, you're gonna make about 300 million an hour. Pilaku, you're gonna make like 300 million an hour. At Pilaku, I mean at like Fogans and Nagas, you're probably gonna make like 100 million less than you would at Centaurs and Gahas. So like if you're making 600 at Centaurs, I'd say you're probably making 500 million an hour at Desert Nagas or Desert Fogans. On the low end, you should be hitting 400 million at these spots. Okay, on the low end, you're hitting 400 million. Kadri's probably going to be like 400 to 500, a little bit lower than Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans, but it is what it is. And again, I'm talking about I'm doing this average on blue loot scroll. New players are not going to be able to run gold loot scrolls, so we're going to talk all with blue loot scroll and Agris. These spots are all blue loot scroll Agris. All of the Valencia spots are Agris and blue loot scroll. Okay, so blue loot scroll and Agris, and I would say that a new player is probably going to only have about 200% item drop rate. Okay, so that's kind of like where I'm getting these figures. Okay, I'm not pulling them out of my ass. I have done a lot of research on this stuff. So I know how much each spot in the game makes as of today. Okay, so like if you're watching this guide in the future, it might change. But like these are kind of the averages that you're going to make as of today. Okay. Okay, so what other spot did I talk about? Waragons are going to make like 200 million an hour. Bassy Den's like 200 to 300 million an hour. It's not very good. Again, I don't recommend it. Centaurs and Gahas, on the upper end, maybe you make 700 if you're like super gaming with this kind of a setup. Like if you were get like super gaming and you're getting a lot of drops, maybe you could make 700, but like on average you're gonna make 500 to 600 million an hour. So it's just like a little bit more than some of these other spots. The problem is you're gonna be sacrificing combat and skill exp. Combat and skill exp at Pilaku and Round Sulfur, very low, garbage, dog water. You're not gonna get anything. Again, you're only there for the map. Okay, so if you really want the map, it's really good. The map allows you to map to town. So let's say that you're grinding you're grinding at Crescent Shrine. Okay. You could, if you had an archaeologist map, you could basically just map to town from Crescent Shrine. You could just map to town, drop off all your stuff, sell your loot, rebuff yourself, whatever. You have 30 minutes. Then you can teleport right back to where you were standing. You just click a button and boom, you're teleported right back to where you're standing. It saves you a lot of time. It's definitely a worthwhile item to go get in the game. It's probably the most useful treasure item in the game in terms of overall functionality. Like items that you can use, I would say it's probably the most functional item in the game. Outside of the infinite potions, of course, which we're going to talk about next. Let's go ahead and talk about these infinite potion spots. A lot of the new players, when they start out, are going to go to the infinite HP potion spots first. So we'll talk about the HP potion. Most people start at Blood Wolf settlement and work their way west as they settle into more depression. Blood Wolves, and again, it's still like 160, 200 DP. These spots all require about the same thing. Again, Blood Wolf settlement is only going to make you about 400 million silver an hour. This fluctuates greatly with the price of Cagtanax and the price of Khafris, okay? Because that's kind of the two primary drops that you're kind of going to get at this spot, okay? Understand that you can get the raw potion drop at Blood Wolf settlement. So there are 3 different ways to get the potion that new players are concerned about, okay? Like I said, you can buy it outright, and then in which case you're running it Centaurs and Gahas. You could do a Tannis, and my guide breaks this down like much more if you guys want to see like everything I recommend for this. A Tannis Elements, and then you can just grind for the potion outright. Okay, this is the grind for the potion outright system. So you're going to be getting pity pieces as well as like a chance at the raw drop at these spots, but you're going to be making a lot less silver per hour, so like 300 to 400 million an hour. If you don't, so a lot of guides are going to be like, watch, this is going to be super deceptive. Okay, so people are going to lie to you. Okay, so it's important that you understand that I am not lying to you. I'm just giving it to you straight. Where I'm actually literally going to pull up garmount.com. I'm going to go to the grind tracker here, and I'm going to pull up the rates for Blood Wolf settlement if I can find it. Yeah, Blood Wolf settlement right here, and you can see it actually says you're going to make 700 million an hour at Blood Wolf settlement. This is a lie. Okay, this is a complete lie, and the reason this is a lie is if you look at this, it's counting the pity pieces as money. Okay, and it's also counting the raw drop as money. You're not using these for money. You're using these to get your potion. So realistically speaking, subtract 300 million off this number, okay? And you have what you probably actually are making, which is something like 300 to 400 million silver an hour, okay? Do not be fooled. A lot of people are going to try to clickbait you with some stupid shit in terms of overall silver per hour, raw dog silver per hour. That is not what you want to look at, okay? I'm giving it to you straight. I'm just giving it to you straight. Okay, I'm just giving it to you straight as far as like how much raw silver you're going to make in comparison to, like alongside the potion pieces, which of course you're not going to be selling. So 300 to 400 million an hour at Blood Wolf settlement, but you're grinding for the infinite potion. Then you go to Shirokon Necropolis. It's important that you understand that this is where dreams go to die, guys. It kind of just consumes all happiness. So when you arrive to this location, if you see another white dot on the map, they're probably just going to immediately flag and hit you because they've already hate themselves. Okay, it's kind of like that disease in Game of Thrones where like if you get it, you turn into a stone man and become belligerent. Yeah, that's what happens to you at Shirokon. You catch the disease and you just hate everybody. Okay, like it's just brutal. The fact that you're a parental disappointment really starts to sink in at Shirokon daytime. I don't recommend staying here for long periods of time. It's not a super great idea. You're going to make like 200 million silver an hour at Shirokon daytime. Do not do that. If you're grinding for the infinite potion, what you should do is when nighttime is hitting, you need to grind Shirokon. Okay? When it becomes nighttime, so you want to go from Blood Wolf settlement and you want to go to Ranaros. Do not go to Shirokon. What you do is you go to Ranaros during the day, and when nighttime hits, you go to Shirokon at night, and then when nighttime is over, you go back to Ranaros. Okay? That's what you do if you're going to grind for the infinite potion. And again, I explain this in the guide. Because nighttime Shirokon is like, that shit's like 500 mil, 600 mil an hour. That shit not fucking around. Like, I would say it's actually probably like 400 million an hour, but you're getting crazy amounts of pity pieces. And the raw drops much more frequently. Okay, so nighttime Shirokon is definitely the way to go. Understand that you need energy to do that. So like, save up your energy. Don't use your energy on your main character unless it's at Shirokon nighttime. Okay, and then just do the things at nighttime. They're fun. Go knock it out. Okay. Ranaros, again, this is where pain and suffering really start to sink in. This is the last piece that a lot of players kind of try to get in a lot of cases for their infinite potion. You can choose to start here if you want to try to win the mental battle and end at Blood Wolves. But like, understand that at this point, if you're shy, no one is probably going to let you breathe air. If you walk onto someone's rotation and you're a shy and they know they can bully you, they're probably going to kick you like the bullies in middle school did. Okay, so classes at these types of spots don't have mobility are really going to suffer. The overall like pack density at Forest Ranaros is also really low. It sucks. This place is not fun. If you want to know the exact specifics on what mobs drop the piece, where the rotations are and stuff, that's fine. But if you're grinding for the infinite potion, Ranaros is something that like you want to take in small doses. That's why doing it during the day is fine, and then go to nighttime Shuriken, and you get like a little bit of a reprieve because nighttime Shuriken can be kind of refreshing. When after grinding Ranaros, it kind of sucks. Ranaros is like 300 million an hour at maximum. It's really bad, guys. I'm gonna give it to you straight. The other guides are going to say it's 500, 600, 700. They're going to lie to you. It's like 300 million an hour if you take away the pity pieces and you take away the potion and everything. It's really bad. So like it's got to be rough. Other spots that you can grind when you're low on low end, you can do the infinite mana potion grind. Monshams is where I recommend probably starting for the infinite mana potion grind. This is actually a really refreshing spot. All classes that have really good mobility and don't have a crazy amount of AoE are going to do pretty well at Monshams. Tamer, Mewa, Musa, even Ranger. Honestly, pretty much every class in the game can grind Monshams and be totally fine. The packs are really tightly packed. It's really good silver per hour. You really can't go wrong with it. It's pretty solid. It's probably going to be the most refreshing of all 6 potion spots. It's probably the most refreshing of all 6 spots, and you can quote me on that. Like I'm pretty sure that if you asked anybody that grinded at all 6 of these locations, they probably like Monshams the most in terms of overall aesthetic. Another spot that you're going to have to worry about for the infinite mana potion is Navern Steppe. I highly recommend doing all of your weeklies. Guys, there are weeklies that you can do for the potion, and they'll give you like pity pieces over time. I highly recommend doing all of your weeklies for Navern. This is a gathering piece. You have to go out and gather on like the birds from up that are out in Navern Steppe. They're like Farrakas or something. I just call them the birds from up. You'll know them when you see them. And then there's elephants you can gather on too. The Belladonna elephant. Don't do that. You're going to gather on the birds. This sucks. I don't recommend this for a new player. It really blows unless you're like a life skiller already. It blows. Okay, like you're not grinding here. You're just gathering. Nothing you're gathering is worth any money. It's pain and suffering the entire time. You're not gonna like it. I don't recommend it. If anything, get 100 Atanis elements and turn it in for the Navern piece. It just go somewhere else. It sucks. Now, and you're probably gonna make about 150 million silver an hour, maybe 250 million silver an hour at Navern Steppe, because again, it's a gathering spot. You kill the bobs and then you gather on them. It's miserable. Yeah, if you have a tier 4 hedgehog, it makes it bearable, but like, yeah, that's like $100, 50 to $100. Okay, the very last spot. I know that we said that some of the other spots were terrible, but I assure you guys, in terms of grind locations in BDO that are the worst grind spots in BDO, this is by far rank 1 worst grind zone in Black Desert. Okay, hands down. Tashira Ruins, where you have to grind for the infinite mana potion, this place sucks. Okay, the only redeeming quality about this spot is that it is a swamp, and so if somebody walks onto your rotation, you can actually scream at them, "What are you doing in my swamp?" Like it's something out of Shrek. And that's about the most that's about the best thing that you're gonna get in this grind zone, because everything else is basically pain and suffering the entire time that you do it. Okay, so like this is going to suck. It's like 200 million an hour at most, and that's about it. Like you're basically not going to get much more than about 200 million silver an hour for doing this, and it's going to blow the entire time. So just bear in mind, the infinite mana potion piece, in terms of pain and suffering, is definitely going to be worse than the HP potion. And it's also going to be less silver per hour overall because of Navern and Tashira. Monshams is, again, really good. If you want to save that for last, that's fine too. Again, it's a mental battle basically the entire time. There are a few other spots that I want to talk about at this APDP level that you can totally do. A lot of people are going to suggest Polly's Forest. I want to sincerely say that I think that Polly's Forest is super outdated, and I don't think that you should go here. The reason that Polly's Forest people recommend coming here is because it's really high combat and skill EXP. The simple fact of the matter is skill EXP is useless now, because with seasonal, it's going to get, basically if you do the main story in seasonal, you're going to have all the skill points you need on your character, and you're just going to get those anyway. So you don't really care about skill EXP anymore. It's not really something that you care about. Okay, so you're really only concerned about combat EXP and making money. Polly's is really good combat EXP in terms of bang for your buck at this APDP level. Polly's is the best combat EXP and skill EXP at this APDP level. The problem is it's really low silver per hour. I mean, really, really low. Like it's rough, guys. Like you're looking at 200 to 300 million an hour. I really just do not recommend it. Usually, if you want an updated take on where to grind for EXP at this APDP level, and I think that chat will agree with me on this, Mirrormuck Ruins is definitely probably a better option for this. It gives you the Atanus elements just like Polly's Forest is going to. It gives you just about the same amount of combat EXP, not as much skill EXP for sure, but you're going to be making a significant amount more money, I think, overall at GIF or at Mirrormuck Ruins here. It's also, this is way more chill. If you are a class that doesn't have very good mobility, say you're an Awakening Caster, say you're a Succession Nova, or anything like that, anything that doesn't have high mobility, this is your grind zone, guys. Like right here. You're going to be making like 500 million, 600 million an hour. It's very similar to the Valencia grind zones. It gets really good combat EXP. You're going to get Atanus elements. It's really, really good. You're going to get slightly less Atanus elements per hour here, which is why I recommend the Valencia spots a little bit more. But if you're more concerned with combat EXP, this is definitely where you want to come. And also, if your class struggles with mobility, this is also an amazing spot to go. Okay, so like if you know that your class struggles with mobility, or you don't like moving on your class, whatever, and you just want a chill grind spot, you basically stand there and it spawns mobs for you. You don't have to even move. It's awesome. Another good spot here is Fadus Habitat. It's very important that when you're grinding at this grind spot, you don't go too far to the northeast, or you'll find yourself sitting on a casting couch. Okay, but like Fadus Habitat is really not super bad. In terms of like mob density, it's really good. Atanus elements, it's really good. A silver per hour, I'd say it's kind of on the lower end. You're not going to make as much as the Valencia grind zones or Mirrormuck, in my opinion. But like it definitely keeps up. In terms of overall population density, guys, I know I didn't go through this. All of the potion spots are going to be very high packed. Those are high value spots for a lot of new players. That's where a lot of new players to go get their infinite potions. So like all of those are 5 out of 5 populated. Okay, Fadus Habitat's probably a 1 out of 5. There's probably not going to be anyone at Fadus. You can probably just go there on Arsha. You're going to be fine. Mirrormuck is probably a 4 out of 5 in terms of overall population. If you go there on Arsha, you're likely to find someone. Maybe it's 3 out of 5 overall. But like if you swap to a normal server, you should be able to find a rotation. Polys, believe it or not, it's like a 4 out of 5 as well. It's pretty populated. If you go to Polys on Arsha, you're almost always going to find people there. So like there's going to be people always contesting your grind zone there. As we kind of move up, so that's all of the low-end grind zones in the game, guys. We just basically went through. I don't think I missed anything. Chat can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I missed anything in terms of like low-end grind zones. Proddy Cave. Oh, I did. You're right. Proddy Cave is a good option. It's out here. It's right here. But the problem with getting to Proddy Cave is you have to actually go into the ocean. This is a 1 out of 5 populated spot. Nobody comes here, but I would say it's about 500 million an hour overall. It's not going to be 600. It's not going to touch the Valencia spots, but it gets kind of close. I'd say it's around where Mirrormuck is. But like it's less combat EXP. It's less skill EXP. Well, its combat and skill EXP are actually pretty good. I don't think it touches Mirrormuck in terms of combat, but like it's pretty solid. Like overall, it's a really good spot, and no one is going to be here. And I'm pretty sure you get Atanus elements from Proddy Cave as well. So it's just really hard to get to. So like new players don't go there very often because you have to like swim out to the island, or you have to take a boat out to the island. It's kind of frustrating to kind of get there. Okay. Marie Cave. I don't really recommend Marie Cave anymore. It's kind of outdated. You use it for skill EXP, and skill EXP is kind of outdated. So I don't really recommend Marie Cave to anybody anymore. There are some people that will tell you to do it. Until it gets an update, I'm not really going to recommend that to new players. Let's talk about as you kind of get up into like the 261, you start getting a little bit of AP, you start getting a little bit of DP. Actually, you know what? Let's say 250 AP, and let's say, what's the DP you think you need for GIF and upper, guys? What are we thinking? I think you need like 300, right? It's something like this. It's something like 250, 300. Okay. All right. So this is one of the only grind spots in the game that you can kind of do as you move up. This is a party grind zone. 310, 340. It's not 340. That's Kappas. Okay, so we'll do 310. We'll say 310. Okay. This is what I recommend. 253 is the bracket, I think, cutoff. And so I definitely recommend being at that bracket. It's really easy to hit for a new player. It's just basically Pen Tuvala and stuff. Yeah, Pen Tuvala, exactly. 310 DP. You should be able to grind Giffen up or Giffen upper. Do not go if you go to Giffen lower or Giffen underground, you're going to be sitting on a casting couch, okay, with a bunch of big burly sworded men behind you, okay. But if you go to upper, you just go to above the mountain. I believe it's a 5-person grind zone. Yeah, it's a 5-person grind zone. If you want to grind with other people, this is actually a really good spot to go to. I highly recommended it, like full Pen Tuvala, if you have 4 other friends that you can grind with. And if you don't know how to find people, there's a party finder in game. I'm not really sure. Find party platoon right here. So you can look for this. Sometimes there's people asking like in here for it, especially on like seasonal servers and stuff. You can kind of check that. Really solid. You're definitely making like 600 to 700 million an hour at the at Giffen upper. It's definitely not bad at all. It's really good. It depending on what your drop rate is and stuff. At that point, you can start running gold loot scrolls probably because you've got a few under your belt. So like you might be able to make a little bit more money. I had a static that went there for 3 or so days and burnt all my agris as a new player. Amazing. Yeah, so all of the spots that I talked about, guys, are all agris locations. You should be using your agris at basically all low-end grind spots in the game. If you have it, you should use it. Basically is the rule so far. Now we're going to move up to kind of the mid-tier grind zones, like the low to mid-tier grind zones. I guess this is also full Pen Tuvala. This 253... 310 DP is also when you can grind Kratuga. And again, we're talking about like 200% drop rate with blue loot scroll. Okay, so at Kratuga, you're basically going to be making... I'd say that Kratuga is probably the best. At this APDP, best solo grind spot is definitely Kratuga. It's somewhere on here. I don't... You come into Harash basically and you go in there. I don't know where the icon for Kratuga is. That's weird that it's not there. But yeah, it's like basically right in here. You go into Harash ruins and you have to like go in through the cave or whatever. Yeah, there's no icon. Okay, yeah. But like it's really good. It drops a lot of artifacts. You can expect probably 600 to 700 million an hour at those spots. You start to move up. Just add 100 million silver an hour to centaurs basically. Like, and that's basically what you're going to make at Kratuga. And Kratuga is really populated at this APDP, though. A lot of new players know to go to Kratuga because it's been recommended by a lot of players. I will say that if you don't mind losing a little bit of money, Achman and Histria are really good options. They're out in the desert. Achman, there are guaranteed entrances now. As of the making of this video, they have guaranteed entrances, or you can go find a portal. This is where Achman's entrance is. This is where Histria's entrance is. You need, again, 253, 310 is good, although you're going to need a crystal setup. So check my crystal guide if you want, like, you're going to need crystals and you're going to need like your full Pen Tuvala if you're going to do these spots. This is where you're going to grind for your compass. So if you're a treasure grinder, this is definitely what you want to do. The problem is, understand that grinding for the compass can suck the life out of you. It took me 4 years to get it. I probably hold one of the records, not the most unlucky person, but definitely one of the more unlucky people trying to get it. It's much easier to get nowadays. I would say the average for getting your compass at the 200% drop rate blue loot scroll is probably about 300 hours. Is probably what it's going to take for an Elton piece. You're going to get the Vodkin piece while you grind that, and the Achman piece is a buy one get one free situation. Like, it's not very hard to get. So I would say that Histria definitely makes a little bit more silver per hour than Achman does. It's like, I would say that Histria is probably going to make about I was making about 700 million at Histria. But like, you can make 600 to 700 million an hour at Histria. It's not very populated, especially on seasonal. You're basically always able to find a spot, and it's on Arsha, you can always find a spot too. Achman is like this too. You can always find a spot on seasonal Arsha for the most part at these spots. So it's like 1 out of 5 populated. You don't have to really worry about that. There's a lot more rotations at Achman though, so you're better off going to Achman if you really don't want to get bothered. Also, yeah, I would say it makes about 50 million silver an hour less than Kratuga does. So if you're willing to make a little bit less money but want to grind for a treasure, it's definitely Histria. Like, just go to Histria instead. And again, this is the solo grind spots. If you're going to grind in a party, it's Upper Gryphon at this stage. at this stage, you can also try to grind altar imps. I think altar imps is like 300, slightly more though. You can't grind altar imps with Tuvala on, but like we'll get to that in a second. But those are kind of all the mid-tier grind zones in the game that I recommend. How much silver per hour you're going to be making at them. Now we're gonna move. That's the low mid-tier. Now we're gonna move to the mid-tier. Okay, so now we're looking at like you got to be like 269 plus AP. You got to have like what, 330 plus DP. I think you could do orcs with 330, right? I think that's doable. I think it's doable. 340. 340-ish. Okay, I'll put 330 to 340. Is that fair? A little compromise? A little compromise? All right. I'm assuming you're on 200% drop rate. Blue loot scroll. And if it's in Agris spots, Agris is on. Okay? That's what we're assuming. All right? So, like, this is kind of the AP-DP range that we're talking about here. For these spots, you're looking at Serendia Elvia. Okay? Serendia Elvia is the big one. Everybody knows about Orcs. Orcs is going to be your highest silver per hour at this AP-DP bracket. So you just go to Serendia Elvia Orcs. I will say that for what it's worth, on a 1 to 5 scale of 1 being no one is there and it's the deserted wasteland, and 5 being there's literally always someone there, it's a 5. There's basically always someone at Orcs. Okay, pros though, there are a lot of rotations that you can do at this grind zone. So like, it's right outside of Heidel. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows it's the best money. So like, honestly, it's kind of hard to compete with Orcs or get there. But like, if you're okay with constantly having to change servers or DFSing people from time to time, or even using Marnie's Realm pretty frequently, you're going to be just fine. But Orcs is definitely the best silver per hour here. You're looking at what, like 800 million an hour at Orcs? Anywhere between 7 to 800 mil an hour typically in the blue loot scroll 200% drop rate zone. That's probably what I would assume that you're probably going to make at Orcs. If you jack it up to a gold loot scroll, it's not an Agris spot, just to be clear. It's like, and like, I don't think like gold loot scroll is okay. You can totally use your coin at Orcs and you're absolutely going to go juicer with it. Super fine. I will say that there are other Serendia Elvia spots that are kind of goated that people don't really know about very much. One of them is the Nagas. What are they, like here? I think they're like right here. Like the Swamp Elvia Nagas. You can do those on Arsha. Okay, and they also drop like the yellow shards that people hate getting. So you can basically just do Swamp Elvia Nagas on Arsha and be just fine at this AP-DP level. And like, probably on a scale of 1 to 5, I would say that it's maybe a 2. Maybe 2, like, every once in a while you're going to see people there, but you can pretty consistently get a spot at this grind zone. Let's see. Fogans. Elvia Fogans. Right here. This is a good spot for blue shards. This is the spot that I recommend people if you want to try to get blue shards. It's a pretty good spot. Like, it's gonna make less than Orcs. Both Nagas and Fogans probably about 700 million an hour. Orcs is probably gonna make 50 to 100 million an hour more than these spots here. But again, it's way less contested. I would say that not Desert Fogans. Gosh. I would say it's a 3 out of 5 in terms of overall contestedness. So like, you're probably gonna find a few more people there. Nagas is definitely less contested. And overall, the packs at Fogans are really condensed. So if your class doesn't have like a crazy amount of AoE, Fogans is actually not a bad spot for you. Altar Imps, absolutely not. Don't ever do this unless you really, really want to grind with like a grind partner. Like it's a 2-man grind zone, and if you really need blue shards, sure, you can do the altar imps, like Serendia altar imps. But like, I don't really recommend it as it's much lower silver per hour than the other Serendia Elvia spots. I would say it's like 500 or 600 million silver an hour overall. If you take away the blue shards, it's probably going to be even lower. But like, yeah, like if you don't count the shards for these spots, guys, you need to understand that like no one spot is going to give you. You need For those of you that don't know, you need like, there are different color shards. There's like yellow shards, blue shards, red shards, and is there another one I forget? I think this those three. But like in Serendia LV, I think it's these three, and you need to get like 100 of 2 of them, and then like combine them together to make your accessories. And no one spot is gonna let you do that. So if you get 100 like red shards at Orcs, you're gonna have to go somewhere else to go get like 100 yellow shards, for example, in order to actually cash in on that money. So if you're not counting the shards, it's definitely a lot less silver per hour. But if you are counting the shards, these are really good spots. If you don't want to have to worry about shards, well, you know, let's talk about Castle Ruins and stuff. Castle Ruins is the best, probably 3-man grind zone at this APDP level. So if you're looking for like a group grind, this is probably the best spot for you. And it's, again, it's lower silver per hour than Orcs. It's probably lower than Fogan's. I would say it's 550 to 650 million an hour. It depends on how lucky you are, but like you get to grind with other people, so that's kind of a W, right? That's kind of a win. And then there's it's Bloody Monastery. Yeah, so there's Bloody Monastery is also another spot. You need slightly more DP for this, so you need like you need slightly more DP for this. So you need to be like 340 to 350 for Bloody, I think, in my opinion. So you need to be on the upper end. Well, there's not many people here, and I would say it makes comparable money to Orcs. It's pretty close. It's within like 30 to... I'd say it's within like 50 million silver an hour. It's pretty close. It's pretty reasonable, and it's a lot less contested. So like, don't underestimate Bloody Monastery and the bell abusing that goes on there, because you get these bells that drop, and you can pop a lot of them at the same time. It can make you a lot of money if you know what you're doing, if you're farming the elites and stuff. So another great spot for Serendia Elvia at the like 269, 330-ish AP level is Baragi Den. It's probably the second best Serendia Elvia spot next to Orcs. It's probably about 50 mil less an hour, 100 mil less an hour than Orcs is. It's a little bit better than Nagas. This is where everybody goes for their yellow shards, almost certainly. So like, unless you want to go to Nagas, like I explained before. Nagas is the spot that like no one goes to. Everyone goes to Baragi for the yellow shards. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so there's one other spot at this gear level that I do want to talk about, and it's out here. It's called Underwater Sakraya. There is an upper and a lower version. Okay, both of them are under the sea, as they say. Okay, both of them are underneath the ocean. Okay, you're literally grinding underneath a huge body of water. It feels like Atlantis. Okay, but like there's like underground, underwater, and then there's an upper ground above underwater. Okay, upper is really good combat EXP, but it's terrible money. Terrible money. You only go there for the merchant ring piece. And I'll be honest with you, you still should be grinding at the lower spot if you're going to try to do that anyway. So like, we're talking about underwater lower, which you need about 269, 330 for, and you'll be fine. You can do this spot if you have a lot of AoE on your class. Awakening Sage is good here. Awakening Witch, Awakening Wizard are really good there. And you can make really, really good money. Sometimes it's better than Orcs if the Abyssal Essence, this is where the Frenzy drops, or draft, if you want to call it that. This is where the Frenzy draft drops. Okay, and you'll notice it's maxed out right now. So it's probably, it's cash money to be grinding this spot right now. It's a lot of money, because you get the Abyssal Essence for this. And every single Abyssal Essence is going to be close to 5 million. Yeah, you spend a little bit to craft it, but even still, it's like 3 or 4 million a drop, and you're getting them all the time. You're basically shelling them out. Also, it's the Tungrad ring drops down there, so it's very heavily based on the Tungrad ring market, which is kind of down right now. I would say it's kind of mid. Like, it's doing okay. But yeah, no, I think that this is a really good grind zone. It's underrated, and there's not going to be very many people there, typically, because it's a lot harder to get to. The best way to get to this, I have a YouTube short on this, but the best way to get to underwater is to stand in Velia. You use an exploration map. You go to Ilia. You run to the backside of the island. You swim out into the water until the map tells you Underwater Sakraya. In the top right of your screen, it'll be Underwater Sakraya. It'll say it up here. Affiliated node, underwater, whatever. And then you can just escape, and it'll put you down there. Easy peasy. Okay, that's the easy way to get down there. And you can just map back when you're done. Okay. I think that's basically everything for the mid-tier grind zones at this grind zones. Oh, Turos, I guess. Right? Turos is pretty good. Turos is the best duo spot. That's why you don't do altar imps. You come to Turos. Oh, I guess we could talk about Thornwood too. So So Turos is an amazing two-party grind zone. A lot of coffers drop here, and a lot of players like to come here because this is where your flame drops for your dead god like chest piece. That's usually what you're starting to grind for at this APDP level. It's like this is where you need to be anyway, and it's really good money, and you get to grind with one other person. Do not go to Decky at Turos. You'll feel like you're on a casting couch. Okay, so like don't go near the lantern spot, Simba. That's the dark place. But aside from that, you're gonna be just fine. Okay. Also, they CC you a lot, so just be careful about that. Thornwood Forest. This is the Agris zone. I think that this is probably... Turos and Thornwood are the two best Agris spots at this APDB level. Okay? So, like, you should be grinding here. If you want to burn your Agris, Thornwood Forest is where you go if you have solo Agris and you need to burn it off. And duo Turos if you have... ideally, if you have a friend, which is difficult to get in Black Desert because we all have mental illness. Thornwood is really, really good because it's based on the trash loot, so it's like really consistent. Yeah, you're gonna get a solid amount of coffers too, but like those are all very consistent drops. You're not as worried about the rare drops there, but it does drop Akrods and which sell for a lot if you can make them into the glorious Akrods. And it does drop the ominous ring too, so it's just a W. It's a really good spot for a lot of people. It also starts if you like the Orzeka outfit. This is also where you would get the helmet. The Orzeka outfit. Okay. If you want to know what the Orzeka outfit looks like, oops, it's right here. Okay, so this is what the Orzeka outfit looks like. That's the helmet right there. You can love it, you can hate it, you can love to hate it. Okay, it is dyed. I have it dyed a little bit more black than it normally is. But yeah, and I also trade it like the helmet. You can like have the red glowy eyes or whatever. So it's kind of a W. That's why a lot of people like Thornwood. It's just kind of two birds, one stone. It's solid money, and you're working on kind of a treasure item thing because you don't have to pay for that. It's just an outfit that you grind for, and it looks kind of badass. You know what I mean? Okay, so you can also come to Stars End Towers and make a serious mistake with your life. Really, the only reason to do this is because you want to have the office on in the background, and you want to have the lowest APM of your life. Okay. If you want to have the lowest, like, you just stand at the tower and the mobs just spawn, and then you just smash your head repeatedly against the keyboard, roll from left to right, common rookie mistake, rolling right to left. But, like, it's a really simple grind zone. You're not going to make a lot of money, especially if you don't get distos. If you do get distortion earrings, congratulations, you're up tremendous. But if you don't get distortion earrings, it's a terrible grind zone. You're going to make, like, 200 million an hour if you don't get any distos. But, like, realistically speaking, if you get 2 distos, okay, it's comparable with the other grind zones. Like, but you can also enhance the distortion earrings with cronstones if you're in North America, because you're American, and you spend money in an financially irresponsible amount of credit card debt. It's totally fine. Just keep swiper, please swipe me. Again, guys, game knowledge is priceless. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Okay? But I don't really recommend Stars End. It is a solo grind zone. There's normal Stars End and then there's Stars End Pillars. If you have the DP for Stars End Pillars require slightly more DP, so you need to be like 350 or so, 340, 350 DP for that for sure, or the mobs will like 3-shot you. You should be careful about that. Normal Stars End is going to have a lower DP requirement, but I don't really recommend going there when the Serendia Elvia spots are just so much more consistent, and so is Underwater Sakria. What's the next AP DP cutoff? I would say it's like 281, 365 probably. Or 360, I guess. Right? Yeah, so like this is basically like the next area that you want to go to. And I'm going to be honest with you. There is one choice. At this is a big problem with the game currently. There is one grind zone at this APDP. And this is all with Kudum. Yeah, 281 AP with Kudum. Do not put a Nuver on and think, I'm ready. Like, yeah, you're an idiot. Put the Kudum back on. You're embarrassing yourself. 281, 360. There's only real one grind zone to grind in the game at this DP level, and it's Giants. Okay, this is a sad truth about the game. Like, you can really come down to Giants, and it's really good. It's slightly better than Orcs, in my opinion. It's definitely a little bit more consistent. Overall, I think, like, it's just better. It's cleanly the best APDP. Like, this is where you go at this level. It is what it is. And you're going to be here for a long time. I'm going to keep it a buck. This is usually when you're getting distortion earrings, you're getting your Fel's Heart, your DP starts to go down a little bit, then you have to put a bunch of Coffers in your gear so your DP comes back up, then you go back to work on AP, and then you can try to graduate to the next AP DP bracket. So like, it's really depressing that Giants is basically the only place that I can really recommend for this kind of, like, if you don't want to go to Giants, congratulations, go back to Orcs. You know what I mean? Congratulations, go to Underwater Sakraya. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically your options. There's really not much else to be done. Jade Starlight. Oh, that is true. You do not use Agris at Giants. Okay, so you don't use Agris at this grind zone. When you need to use Agris, you need to come down to Mountain of Eternal Winter, chat W. There's a grind zone down at Mountain of Eternal Winter right here. This is called Jade Starlight Forest. Okay, right here. If you have Agris, Jade Starlight Forest is really good. This is where you get the flame for your Labresca, and it's really good silver per hour. It's also not very contested. Giants is going to be a 5 out of 5 contested grind zone. Just to be clear, there's going to be a lot of people at Giants, because like I said, it's like the only place you can grind at this APDP level. So there's always going to be people there. Almost more than Orcs. In my opinion, there's more than Orcs because there's less rotations at Giants. It's kind of annoying. Jade, though, Jade's only about a 2 or a 3. You can basically always get a rotation on Arsha at Jade, which will boost your silver per hour to be comparable with Giants, and you can use your Agris here. So this is just a W. Like, it's a really, really solid grind spot. Plus, it's got the best theming in the game. It's got one of the best soundtracks in the game, too. So that's just an objective W. I suppose that we can talk about Murlocs Labyrinth here as well. This Jade is, by the way, Jade's about 700 million an hour. Giants is like 800 to 900. Well, I guess Giants is like 1 billion an hour, isn't it? Giants is close to 1 billion silver an hour. It's like 900 mil to 1 bill. You should be like 900 mil on the low end, 1.1 on the high end. I would say that Giants is about 1.1. I think Jade Starlight Forest is only about 700 to 800 mil an hour if you're selling the flame. So like, just bear that in mind. Like, it is less money, but if you grind on Arsha, it'll boost that by about 100 million an hour. So you can get like 800 to 900. So you can kind of close that gap a little bit. So just take that for what it's worth. You can make 1.2 bill there easily. Not, yeah, like, it's if you're running human damage and you're like an Awakening Nova and you're like going hard. Yeah, no, I don't know about that. Average, I don't think so. Murlocs Labyrinth. This is technically a party grind spot. But basically, you always grind this on Arsha every time. Okay? Because basically what you do is you go into the cave. It puts you in like a special instance room by yourself, and you kill bugs. You just kill bugs for like 40 minutes to an hour. Okay? But there's like 5 or 6 people grinding with you in their own rooms. So everyone grinds in their individual rooms. And then every once in a while, you're all working towards trying to get the boss to spawn. And then when the boss spawns, you all get together in the boss room, and you all defeat the boss together. Bear in mind, if you are doing this on Arsha, when you get to the boss room, PvP is enabled. You might be sitting on a casting couch. Okay, but if you're in a PvX guild, it probably won't matter. People probably aren't going to grief you. But if you're in a PvP guild and you're on Arsha, you might get griefed in the boss room. But aside from that, people can't interrupt your grind. So you really should be on Arsha if you're grinding this spot. That being said, it's like 600 million an hour, guys. I really don't recommend it unless you like really like the theming of it and you don't want to be like, if you're getting hunted a lot, this is a great grind zone for you because they can't touch you here. This is everything the light touches is their kingdom, but you are in the dark place. You know what I mean? You're good. But yeah, so these are, that's it, right? That's like the mid-tier grind zones. We're good. I got them all. We're not even going to talk about this. Don't do this. This winter tree fossil, garbage. Literally like the lowest silver power in the game. It's actually, you don't need a loot scroll at this spot. Okay? You cannot actually use loot buffs at this spot at all. Also, for Upper Sakraya that we talked about before, that underwater spot, the upper part, you can't use loot scrolls there either. You can on the lower part, the one that I recommended, you can use loot scrolls on the lower part. This one, you can't use loot scrolls either, but like, it's really low silver per hour. There's no treasure item that drops here. There's no happiness. It's just a shit fest. Pros, no one is there. Cons, you might be losing more money than you're making. So there's that. Okay. There's also Paddocks. Thank you, chat. Paddocks. This is the spot you go if you're grinding for the merchant ring. You don't come here for any other reason. This is a solo grind spot. It used to be a party grind zone. But like it was better recently because of the Smoky Haze ring that came out. Let me see where those are at right now. Yeah, it's doing okay, I suppose. If you get some Smoky Haze rings, it's not bad. It's okay. It's all right. But like, it says 250 AP. I don't think that that's really. I think you can technically grind Paddocks or orcs. You know what I mean? You could technically go there when you get to orcs, but like, I don't know, man. It's really just not very good. Unless you're trying to go for the merchant ring, don't go here. Okay, it's just not a solid. Like, it's just not it. Okay. Like, if you're grinding for the merchant ring, you have to be there. But like, you can do Olins at the 360 DP, or like, honestly, you could do Olins at like 340, 350 DP. Like normal Olins, not Dekia. Normal, not Dekia Olins. It's right here. Like, you can do this. This is a party of 3, but you're gonna need elixirs. You're gonna need friends. That's 2 things that a lot of players in Black Desert don't have. Kind of tough, but it's really good silver per hour. It helps you get your Orzeka chest piece, like the outfit itself, not the helmet. It's really, really good, and you can't go wrong. It's the best party grind zone at that APDP level. So now we're gonna look at the 301 AP. And I guess like what, 390 DP, right? You can technically have like 380 to 390 DP. Okay. Now Calpheon Elvia basically opens up for you, and so does Underground Glyphon. I'm gonna save you the trouble. Wait, I'm gonna save you the trouble. Just go to Glyphon. Okay. This is the best. Comment the lower Glyphon, not upper. Lower Glyphon. Underground Glyphon is probably the best silver per hour in the game for this APDP level, a lot like Giants is, but it's also the best combat EXP in the entire game. So like, even if you don't care about the level on your character, it's just more progression. It is what it is. Minimum AP for Underground. Again, 301. You can technically do it at 297, but it's going to be hard. Okay, lower Glyphon is definitely like the best grind zone at this APDP. Calpheon Elvia, really, really good. Okay, so you can do trolls at this spot. I would say that trolls, you're going to want closer to 390 DP. And you're going to want to know how to frontal guard when the troll stamps around. Okay, because he will one-shot you if you're not careful. When you're grinding in Calpheon Elvia, guys, the reason for the DP, like, a lot of people are going to go there, oh, I could grind this with 340 DP. I'm going to be fine. Yeah, everything's fine until it's not. Okay, so like, it's going to be totally fine most of the time, and then the boss spawns, and you're sitting on a casting couch. Okay, like, you got to be really, really careful. Okay, so especially for Giants, the reason you need 360 DP for Giants is not because the mobs hit you incredibly hard. It's because the boss is going to one-shot you if you're not careful. Okay, so like, everything is fine until it's not at Calpheon Elvia, so just be careful about this. Trolls, you definitely need a little bit more DP, so you're going to need closer to the 390 marker. It's definitely really good silver per hour. They just buffed it recently, so again, all of these spots we're talking about here, guys, are over 1 billion silver an hour. Okay, so like, Underground Glyphon's going to be like 1.2. Trolls is probably going to be like 1 to 1.1. Maybe 1.2 after the recent buff, but again, you don't get combat EXP, so like, why would you go to Trolls over Glyphon? That's why I recommend Glyphon every time. If they're making the same amount of money, but one's giving you combat EXP, I will say, number 1, you can always grind on Arsha. I have never failed to get a spot on Arsha at Trolls, because no one is here. No, people forget that this spot exists. So it's like a 1 out of 5 in terms of overall popularity. Nobody comes here. You can just go to Arsha, be at Trolls, and do well. Just understand, you can get one shot, and you're going to start dying if you're not careful. Especially when the troll stamps his feet and goes in a circle. He will mess you up. There's also Sonal Camp. I think Sonal's probably like 1 billion an hour. It's definitely lower than Trolls, and it's definitely lower than... Where is Sonal? It's down here? Yeah. It's definitely lower than Trolls, and it's lower than Underground Glyphon, but it's not a bad spot. Some people say it's really bad. I don't really think so. None of these spots are really Agris spots at all, guys, just so we're aware. Underground Glyphon is not an Agris spot. Trolls is not particularly an Agris spot as far as I'm aware. Sonal, you can pop your Agris here, but it's going to run out really fast. Like, most people just kind of run their Agris here because, you know, why not, I guess, because it's already full. Let's see, what else? Abandoned Monastery. AM, as a lot of people like to call it, okay? Now, it's saying 260 AP. And this is true. You can technically grind here, guys. The minimum requirement is like 269 AP, 350 DP, 360 DP. Okay, so like when you grind, like basically around Giants time, you could probably come here with a party of 2. But the reason that I recommend you to be much higher gear score when you grind here is because when the boss spawns at Abandoned Monastery, it alerts the entire server. The whole thing. So when you get this boss, it's ding ding ding, everyone in Show Nation. I'm not joking. They will put out a Discord ping like, hey, AM boss, Serendia 4. They're not around, guys. They're coming. And they can steal your boss from you. Okay? They absolutely can steal your boss loot from you. Because they can take the loot. The boss only gives loot, I think, to 3 people. And if they show up with 5 people, only 3 of you are going to get it. You're just going to get rolled over. And all of those people are going to be crazy geared out of their minds. So just like based on that, like if you like PvP in your grind zones and you don't mind like the kind of on edge, like are we going to get attacked? Like what's going to happen here? I think that's pretty cool. I really like mechanics like that. At least some of the grind spots in the game. I just recommend to have at least some APDP to fight back. You know what I mean? Like you have to at least, it doesn't matter how good you are if you just don't have the gear to kill your opponent and they're just going to do more damage to the boss, right? So like, I do recommend having a little bit more APDP here, but like if you want to grind with a friend and you're both PvPers, it's not a bad move. Just understand you're probably going to get visitors. It's also, in terms of silver per hour, it's probably about 800 million an hour. It depends on the Dawn Earring. If the Dawn Earring is in the shitter, it's not going to be very much money. Let me tell you right now. Let me see. Yeah, it's really good money right now because the Dawn Earring's at max price. So you're good to go. It's gonna be really solid. It'll be comparable to the other spots. You'll be like $1 billion an hour, hopefully. You should get like 1 to 2 earrings an hour. Maybe 3 or 4, honestly. Who knows? Depends on how fast you're going, right? I think you could probably do Ash Forest here. You could probably start doing Ash Forest at this APDP. I think this is fine. Assuming you have the right consumables running, it's totally fine. Understand it's not going to be a crazy amount of money, though. Ash Forest is not very high money, but you can start grinding. Like, if you need, like, a Pen Ogre, you can just grind here and get a Tet Debo. It's technically, a lot of people try to do that, because you're going to need a Pen Debo later anyway. It's just 1 AP less than a Pen Ogre is. I still recommend the Pen Ogre. If you just grind at like a normal spot and then just buy a Pen Ogre for like 45 billion, it's going to be way faster and you're going to have more AP. So I don't know why people do this anymore, but it's still technically, you can do it. If you're not selling the Debos, this spot is like a solid 200 million an hour. Crisp 200 million an hour, guys. If you're not selling the Debos, it's... The trick to Ash Forest is to, Cash Forest or Ass Forest, as we call it, is to grind somewhere else and then put orders down on outfits for Cronstones, then come here to get the Debos, and then you slam them with Cronstones. That's about it. Like, that's basically how you make the money here. All right, now we're going to move it up 1 more bracket. Okay, so now you need to be 305 plus AP. And you need to be 400 plus DP. Okay, these spots, this is all the deckiest spots in the game. I might miss some. They keep coming out with new ones. The deckiest spots of the game that are the best right now, it depends on what pricing and stuff is going on. So yeah, you can see the deckiest spots are some of the highest in the game. I wouldn't necessarily trust these numbers per se. We're not going to talk about Turos and Cyclops quite yet. Dekia Thornwood does look like it's pretty up there. Dekia Turos is really good too. I mean, okay. Dekia Thornwood, I think, is super doable at 305, 400. You can totally do Dekia Thornwood. I think you could do Dekia Achman and Hystria as well, are totally doable at this APDP level. Also, Ulakita, actually goated. We call them the oil fields here in Ulakita. Where is it? Where's the new grind zone? Oh, is it down here? I haven't even gone over there yet. This right here, Yazrid Highlands. Really, really solid. It's really chill too. People love the oil fields. Okay, if you're a Republican, conservative loving American, this is definitely where you want to go. If you look out at the countryside and say, God, I wish there was an oil rig there, that's definitely where you want to be. Okay, really good money. Tungrad Ruins is also really good money. Tungrad Ruins is really solid. Silver per hour. Darkseeker's Retreat is pretty good, but I would say it's below the other two. I'd say at these spots, you're looking at like, what, 1.5 guys to 1.7 billion an hour, something like that. At these spots, assuming you're grinding at like a reasonable like speed. Like, and again, like you don't really need, like your class is going to matter a little bit less. Obviously, now we're talking about like the meta grinders. So like Sucklan's really good. Awakening Wizard's really good. Awakening Nova's always going to be really good. Succession Witch is going to be really good at these spots. Like it is what it is. One spot I will say, City of the Dead. It's a bait. Don't go there, Simba. Unless you need your telescope, I do not recommend grinding City of the Dead. It is, there's a reason they call it City of the Dead. It's deadage. Okay, there's no shot. It's not good silver power. It sucks. I've tried it. It's miserable. Dekia Hysteria is really good, and Dekia Achman. I personally like Dekia Achman versus against Dekia Hysteria, mainly because Dekia Achman has like 0 chance to kill you at any point. Dekia Hysteria has one-shot mechanics that it doesn't matter that you're 400 plus DP, you're just gonna die. So you need to be careful at Dekia Hysteria, but you will make slightly more money, I think, at Dekia Hysteria. But Dekia Achman, I think, is just better because you have 0 chance of dying ever for any reason. Just really nice. And honestly, I find there's more spots available for Dekia Achman in my, like, every time I go there, I can find a spot on Arsha. Because you're out in the middle of nowhere. They did just add Dekia Sulfur Mine and Dekia Pialaku to the game. These are like 800 million to a billion silver an hour, though. These are pretty significantly lower than some. Dekia History and Achman are about $1 bill to 1.2 bill an hour. After their buff. Okay. On the low end, you're gonna make like 800 mil. Okay. At Pilaku and Sulfur, you're gonna make like 800 to $1 bill. So you're definitely gonna make even less. But you get to grind for your archaeologist map. The compass drops from the Dekia Achman and Hysteria, and the map drops from the Dekia Sulfur Mine and Dekia Pialaku. So like you should definitely be doing those. Plus, one of the biggest problems with grinding for your map is mob density. Dekia fixes that, so you can actually get your map faster by doing Dekia. So definitely worth doing. But those are like kind of like the 305, 400 at this point. Guys, did I forget anything? Now I want to move. There's certain spots for Dekia that I think that you actually just need more DP. I think that like you're looking at 309 plus AP, and you need at least like, in my opinion, you need like 410 plus DP. Okay, do not be fooled. Okay, so these are the best spots in the game. All of the spots that I'm about to talk about are like 1.6 to 1.8 billion an hour. If you're on Arsha, you can easily clear over 2 in most cases. These spots are really, really good money. The first spot we're going to talk about is Dekia Cyclops. I think that this is an underrated zone. People don't really talk about it very often. It's really easy to get to. I will say that for what it's worth, you absolutely need to know how to play your class at Dekia Cyclops, and you need to know the mechanic. If you don't know the mechanic, this is not a spot where you can just kind of like, oh, I'm just watching The Office and I'm dead. Okay? That's how quick it happens. It doesn't really matter how much DP you have. They will clap you. Okay? Instantly. When that dude comes down to scream, you run for your life. Okay? Like, you get out of the red circles at Cyclops. You do not mess with it. I don't like grinding here because it's so risky, in my opinion, to grind here, but it is arguably the best grind zone in the game, or one of the best grind zones in the entire game in terms of overall silver per hour. If you're really good at iframing, if you're really good at playing your class, and you're just good at the game, and you don't mind a little bit more of a sweaty grind, it's definitely worth the value. I got 12 dons in 2 hours. There it is. I mean, he's carried out as you're reported, but, you know, it is what it is. Dekia Turos and Dekia Olens. These are group grind zones for 309 plus, 410 plus. These are the spots that you're going to see Jakun VT doing, Blonde Bear, Choice does these spots. Like the really high-end streamers that have all the gear in the game, they grind these locations. Okay, Dekia Turos and Dekia Olens are arguably some of the 2 best spots in the game, especially if you need the earring. Especially if you need the Dekia earring. It's really, really good. You're talking about, again, 1.6 to 2 billion an hour, depending on your drops. It is what it is. So yeah, I would grind these spots. Just be very, very careful at these spots, guys. When we talk about these high-end grind zones, guys, it doesn't matter what your DP is. You need to be at least 410. Like, you need to be like, and for like an evasion build, you probably need to be like 415, 420. Like, you need to be high DP, okay, to be grinding these spots, because if you're not, you're going to get one shot. You're going to get one shot, and that's just how it's going to go. But you're always going to be at risk when you talk about the Dekia spots, when you talk about these spots. If you don't do the mechanic right, you will die. Okay, one other thing that I wanted to mention, but we didn't actually cover, just Crypt of Resting Thoughts. You can technically do Crypt of Resting Thoughts at like 301, 40, 400. Okay? Like, I recommend 305 AP and like 400 DP for Crypt of Resting Thoughts. It's a solo spot. It drops the Tungrad belt. I mean, not the Tungrad belt. Oh my god. It drops the Deboreka belt. And it drops, so it's the best in slot belt in the game, and it drops both the Orzeka pieces. So like if you're trying to get your Orzeka set, both the lungs drop here, so like you're good to go. Oh yeah, Dekia Ash. Dekia Ash is definitely a 410 DP spot. These mobs are spook. Okay, they're like, if you know the lore for this, they're all just possessed shies that never made it out of the forest, and those destroy you. Like, it doesn't really matter. You got to be careful. I think Awakening Witch is really good at Dekia Ash because it's a really safe class. Like, you're just not going to die. But you need to understand that on any class, at almost any DP level, you can die at Dekia Ash, but it's super worth it to do. If you're trying to get your necklace, 3 to 4 necklaces an hour or some shit, sometimes. Like you're getting at least 1 to 2 necklaces an hour typically at the Dekia version of Ash Forest. It's really, really good. It's cash money. So, but like it's very spook. So if you don't need your you don't see really people there unless they need their necklace or they need the merchant ring piece for whatever reason. Let's go to the massively end game 330 AP, 450 DP grind zones. Okay. And this, believe it or not, you're actually going to come back to Saucin Garrison. I know that sounds crazy, but believe it or not, when you hit the 331 AP bracket and you want to put a Nuver on for this, okay, 330 AP Nuver, you come to Saucin's Garrison, okay, and you just grind, and you grind, and you grind, and you grind. And honestly, if you get enough people there, you're going to want to bring a wagon. Okay, so don't roll up with your normal horse. You need to roll up with a merchant wagon because it's got multiple types of trash loot there. So you can't just stack it on your horse, okay? And you're not going to have enough maids. Okay, so roll up with a wagon. There's great guides out there. I think Go in Blade Style. Blade Boquest has a great guide as to where to put your wagon when you get there so that none of the mobs will attack it. I'll let him explain that for you. This is a super great grind spot. You can also come out to Pirate Island. Yes, I mean Pirate Island. I do not mean Paddocks, okay? This is the PvP grind zone. Okay, you want to come out here, you need, keep in mind, it's really just 1,000 AP. It actually just cut it off. I know it says 100, but like move the decimal point over a little bit. Jungle rotation is kind of goated, but you're gonna have a massive amount of AP there. Get on Arsha at your own risk. Just be careful. You can't feed people the mobs anymore. You just be careful, guys. Just be careful. Okay. Don't go to, there's a lot of players that are going to tell you to go to Main's Hideout. Don't go to Main's Hideout. I'm telling you right now, it's not very good. Okay. The mob density is just not there. One like secretly goated place, Abandoned Iron Mine. Like if you go to Abandoned Iron Mine, you get the crystals from Abandoned Iron Mine and sell them to the rest of us so that we don't have to make any Blackstone powder. This is really definitely a huge W for the rest of the server here. You're almost doing a public service. It's almost a charity event. And then if you come up, I would say Lower Helms, but they removed it from the game because it was actually too good. Believe it or not, Helms Post used to literally be the best grind zone of the game. And then because it was like Lower Helms and you could like do like the super buffed Helms. And like you could get massive, like the Ancient Guardian Seals went so hard. Went so hard. But they actually removed it from the game because it was so good. But if you elite farm at Helm's Post and you melt the Rosar down, you can make at least 4.5 million silver an hour. It's nuts. Plus, with the update where you can get enhanced boss gear, you can get like plus 15 Grunel and stuff. It's actually kind of goated. Elric Shrine is where you go if you don't have the gear for Saucins, guys. So you definitely just come over here. If you can't do Helms or Saucins, you only have like 320 AP, right? And you keep getting kicked off your spot. You might be able to find a spot on Arsha at Elric's. All right, guys, thanks for watching my guide. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment for the YouTube algorithm gods. Absolutely love you guys. You can always catch me at twitch.tv/blue_squadron. Yeah, I'm live 5 days a week. 2 new YouTube videos every day. Check it. All right, let me just, guys, I'm gonna nail this YouTube intro one take, all right? And I will update this guide basically every few months as necessary as the grind zones
Ruining take
upgrade.
one.
Ban him. Okay. All right. Hey guys, welcome to my Where to Grind guide series. Oh, damn it, bro! This guy. And action. All right. Hey guys, welcome to my grind guide. Damn it! Oh. Hey guys, welcome to my Where to. I fucking hate this guy. I hate him. I nailed it on the first try, and now I'm not. Now I'm fumbling. All right, let me just give me a second to cook.